Before you begin your road trip, ask yourself, do you really need 5 full suitcases? With the new 2026 Kia Sportage X-Pro's class-leading cargo space, you'll have room for what you need. Find out more at your local Kia dealer today. Keep the adventure going. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-3334-KIA for details. Always drive safely and obey all traffic laws. Comparisons based on second row legroom and cargo space behind second row seats in the subcompact SUV class according to Kia segmentation as of June 2025.
Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, welcome back to Trip Tales, the podcast where real people share their real trip stories, giving you destination inspiration and practical planning tips. Today's episode is a little different. We're not just recapping one specific trip, but instead we're going to be mapping out the ultimate first-time family trip to Japan. And to help guide us through it all is someone who knows Japan incredibly well, Jody St. Clair from the Learners and Makers blog and Learners and Makers on Instagram. She's traveled Japan multiple times with her husband and kids, and she's here today to give us a custom itinerary style walkthrough to help families feel confident planning their own adventure to Japan. In fact, she's currently in Japan and is so kind to be joining us on our Zoom and on the podcast from 6,000 miles away today. So welcome, Jody. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited about talking about Japan today. It's one of my very favorite things to talk about.
Amazing. And currently here in Nashville, it is 5 p.m. And tell everybody what time it is in Japan.
It's 7 a.m. here.
So we are on a big time difference. I love it.
And it's a different day.
So you are tomorrow?
Friday. I am in your future.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're in the future. I love it. We're time traveling today. I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone, well, I would say where you live, but maybe you can explain that a bit, what you do and about your family.
So we are a family of 4. We travel full time, and we have for 3 years now. We're just approaching our 3rd anniversary. I am a above-the-knee amputee, so we also travel with some mobility differences. And we share a lot about both traveling with mobility differences and being a family traveling on our blog and our YouTube and Instagram and all of that.
I literally have 1,000 questions for you. So before we get into Japan, I'm just going to ask so many questions because I'm so curious about it all. I would love, if you feel comfortable, for you to share a bit about your amputee story.
Yeah. So I was 13 when I became an amputee to osteosarcoma, which is a type of bone cancer.
Wow.
And so it's been a while since I've been an amputee. I will say I feel a little bit of an expert at this point in that area. I was a dancer before, so I was very athletic, and that was part of how I recognized that something was wrong. And then, so my life really took a 180 when I was a kid. Something I'd kind of dreamed of doing for a long time, all of a sudden wasn't necessarily impossible, but it wasn't possible in the way that I had been dreaming. And so I really got this perspective of you get this one beautiful life and make the most of it. From a pretty young age, I became a big picture thinker, and that is something that has followed me throughout my life.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. And that is pretty incredible because I feel like a lot of people don't really learn that lesson about you get one big, beautiful life until later in life. So you grasped onto that much earlier. Is that part of what drives your love of travel?
For sure. My husband kind of planted the seed of travel in our family. He very early on in his early 20s was exposed to the idea of like a gap year and long-term travel and all of that. So when we first met, we traveled before we had kids, and then we kind of knew someday down the road when we had kids, we would do a gap year. We wanted to give them a world perspective of just seeing a lot of different cultures, ways of living, all of that. So that dream of doing a gap year just kind of grew. And eventually we decided to do it more open-ended, and we really pivoted our lives to be able to accommodate that open-endedness. And we're still open-ended at this point, going on 3 years.
Okay, so how old are your kids?
They're 13 and 10.
Okay, and so then I assume, do you homeschool in some form?
We do, and we've always homeschooled. So that actually wasn't a big pivot. The big pivot was actually for me because I was a violin teacher, and I was the only one really keeping us in one place and one schedule.
Mm-hmm.
My husband already was a freelance writer, so he was free to move. The kids were free to move. I was the one who was kind of tied. And the pandemic really changed that for me. I think, we saw a lot of shifts in careers and everything, and I was one of those. I'm in that stat.
Yeah, because your job, well, I guess you could have done it via Zoom, but it does feel like something that is kind of a face-to-face type lesson.
Yeah, I really worked around it. I had wonderful students. We did Zoom. We did lessons on my back patio with a heater if it was, little chilly, but not too cold. We lived in Oregon, so didn't get too cold or snow or anything. I just kind of made the best of it as much as I could. But it was a career that I'd been doing for over 20 years, and I was just kind of ready for a change as well. And that just prompted it a little bit quicker.
Yeah. So currently you don't have a home base or a home that you are paying mortgage or rent for. There's nowhere currently to go home to.
No, not at this point. Nope.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm amazed. So where are you? So you're currently in Japan. So thank you so much for joining. And we all have so many questions about Japan. Where are you currently residing in Japan?
We are in the Osaka area. We're actually pretty close to the Osaka airport right now. And we love Osaka, which is a little different than I think a lot of people. We tend to be second city people anyway. But so we've decided to spend kind of a longer period of time in this area. And I'm going to, later when we're talking a little bit about the different areas in that first trip, I'll tell you why Osaka is particularly great for families.
Okay. And then last question, I promise everybody, and then we're going to get on to Japan. When do you decide to move locations? Are you just like us where you're like, okay, we want to go see this place. So you start kind of planning almost like a trip, but in your mind, it's a little bit more of a long term. So you might be looking for more of a long-term rental, how you're going to relocate for a handful of months instead of a week. And it just kind of slowly, builds on itself.
I think if you talk to anybody who's like traveled full time, they'll tell you that the longer they do it, the slower they start getting. And that's definitely been our story as well. When we first started, sometimes we would stay somewhere for 2 weeks. We thought, oh my gosh, that's so long, to stay just in one place. And then it was like a month. And now we are often staying a couple months in one place. So that helps the kids a lot. The moving is the hardest part. And once we're in one place, it just gives us the luxury of time to explore it at our pace. And I would say, even though we stay somewhere a month, we probably see the same amount of like sightseeing that you would even if you're just staying 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
It's just stretched over. So it feels more like how you would do your kind of day trips and whatnot in the place that you live. And then we're, working in school and we have normal life we have to do most days. So most of our days look pretty like ordinary, but we get to do, this half day here, or we go for a little jaunt over this way, or, oh, we want to go to see the expo. right now, we're thinking about how can we go see the expo, but we don't have to be like, we have to do it on this day at this time. It just gives a little bit more flexibility having extra time.
Yeah. Okay. I said that was the last question. I have one more. How does it work with like family and friends back in the States? Do people come visit you? Do you guys make an effort to get back to the States once a year or once every 2 years to kind of like reconnect with people?
Yeah, so far we've actually spent pretty long chunks back in the US traveling as well. We don't have a base there that's like a home we come back to, but in the past, we actually have a small RV. And so it's a motorhome, and we would go and spend 4 to 6 months back in the US, traveling around, doing that. We're moving away from that at this point. We really like being international, but we have enjoyed having that time. So we've done kind of like 8 months international, 4 to 6 months in the US, back and forth. And this year will be the first time we've had like a full year all in Asia, a little over a year. And then over the holidays this year, we're going back to the US, see family. I have some prosthetic work I need done. I've had to super glue my leg a couple times. That's a good sign that it's time to go in.
Okay, one more question. I'm so sorry. How does it work with like visas and all that kind of stuff? Like if you're in another country for like a year, like how does that all work?
Yeah, so we are never in one country for that long.
Okay.
But a lot of times we are maxing out what is allowed for a tourist visa. So we're always on a tourist visa. And a lot of places, if you're from the US, it's about 3 months time. So right now, we'll be in Japan for about 3 months. We always leave a little bit of room just in case something happens. So it's never exactly the 90 days allowed. It's like, 87 days is where we time it just in case something happens with a flight or something.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to overstay your visa.
Right. I've heard that in other podcasts I've listened to and stuff. So I was like, how does that work? Okay, awesome. Maybe we need a whole separate podcast on full-time family travel because I clearly have a lot of questions. But let's get into Japan. Japan seems to be such a hot spot right now. We have friends here in Tennessee who just traveled to Japan for their summer family trip. I'm seeing people on social media traveling to Japan. Why do you think Japan is such a hot destination right now?
Well, definitely right now, the weekend makes a big difference. It is such an affordable place to go right now. And so that means your flight is going to be your biggest expense. And because so many people have gotten so great at using points and miles, a lot of times that isn't even a huge expense. We've traveled to Japan both with like the weekend and with a much stronger yen, so that the exchange rate was
you're
not
saying
as favorable.
The week yen. I thought you said weekend, like a weekend.
Yeah.
The week yen. So right now the yen is weak, which means
which means the exchange rate's very favorable if you are coming from the US.
Got it.
It can make quite a difference in your on the ground costs. So your accommodation, your food, all of that is going to be really reasonable right now. And it's been that way for several years, really. So I think it's been able to kind of ramp up that popularity partially because of that. The other thing that makes Japan, so that's a practical part. The more fun part is that it's just such an amazing place to go. The convenience of it is, once you've kind of learned the systems, is so great. It's just easy to navigate. It's easy to get around. It's easy to find food. It's easy to find like really healthy, good food quick and cheap. But you can also get really, really fancy if you want to. And then the culture is really well preserved in a way that just makes it feel really interesting to explore. The temples are wonderful to go and visit. And the culture is also very open to outsiders coming in and exploring the culture in a way that just is very welcoming, I think.
Amazing. That is all so good to hear.
For full details, including terms and conditions, visit unlock.com/legal. Call 1-888-780-6854 to speak with a representative today. Actor Portrayal. Terms and conditions apply. Not available in all states.
Hey, homeowners, can I get a minute of your time? If you need cash but don't want another loan, I've got the perfect solution. You can access up to $500,000 of your home's equity without monthly payments or interest ever with Unlock. This isn't a loan. It's a home equity agreement. With Unlock, you may qualify for cash today in exchange for a share of your home's future value. No debt, no extra bills, just financial flexibility on your terms. Use the money however you want. Home improvements, paying off debt, investing, or boosting your retirement savings. Unlike HELOCs, home equity loans, or cash out refis, there are no monthly payments, no stress. You've built this equity. Now it's time to use it. Go to unlock.com for more information.
Don't wait. Call 888-780-6854 to unlock the equity in your home and get up to $500,000 in cash with no monthly payments and no interest ever. Call 888-780-6854, 888-780-6854, or visit unlock.com. That's unlock.com for more information.
So this episode will be kind of like a blueprint for someone listening who wants to take their family to Japan for the first time. We can kind of use me as an example. I have a family of 5. My kids are 13, 10, and 7. We're just kind of starting to do bigger trips. We still have not taken them like over to Europe, definitely haven't done Japan, but we are, interested in doing some of these bigger trips soon. So we can kind of use us as an example. Like if we were to you can help me plan a trip to Japan. We'll say it's like a 7 to 10 day trip. You've done this multiple times, so we are going to walk through all the things. First of all, this is a big trip for most people. This isn't just flying down to Orlando or setting up shop at an all-inclusive. So is there anything you'd suggest to someone just starting to plan? Any initial considerations, initial planning tips that we should be aware of before we start booking hotels and purchasing flights?
I would say the biggest thing is to not overpack your itinerary. And because it's going to be so tempting. You see so many cool things on social media. Oh, this temple, this ramen shop, this awesome place to go to do gaming or pop culture like anime. You're going to see so many different ways to explore Japan. But some of the most magical, fun moments happen just wandering around and are in between your things. So you want to have some breathing room, and especially with kids, because all of that walking and everything can be really exhausting. I'm sure you've also heard you put in at least 20,000 steps every time you're going out with exploring things. And I can definitely attest to that. If you're doing a full day of really sightseeing, you're going to have a lot of walking, and you want to have some breathing room in your schedule so that you have some time to rest in between things.
Great advice. Let's talk about getting there. So if we're going to visit Japan for the first time, where should we fly into?
So one thing you got to know about all the airports in Japan is they are not really in the cities. Whether you're flying into the 2 Tokyo ones, Narita or Haneda, or you're flying into Kansai in Osaka, they're all outside of the city, an hour away.
Oh, wow.
It's not close at all. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So you kind of got to know to account for that time. And that when you land and you've gotten through customs, there's always that okay, we've made it. Well, you still have a whole leg to go. In Tokyo, Haneda is a little bit closer. So that does decrease that time. But I would say neither of them, you can go for the deal. It's okay. Neither of them are that much more convenient or inconvenient than the other. We've done both. It's not that big a deal to do either. You'll see a lot of people say oh, Haneda is so much closer. It's a little bit closer. It's really not that big deal. So from there, I think because you have this extra leg, there's a couple of options. You can arrange for airport transport. I often tell people to do on Klook, which is kind of like booking or
what's it called?
It's called Klook. It's Klook.
Okay.
It tends to be very Asia specific, but
Okay.
there's like tours, airport transfer, tickets for things like lots of travel stuff on that app. And I would say that's the easiest way to book like your airport transfer. You can even book your Shinkansen tickets now on Klook ahead
Your
of
what?
time. Oh yeah, so Shinkansen.
I'm like, wait, you gotta help us out here.
Shinkansen is the bullet train.
Okay.
So if you're moving from city to city, that's the easiest way to go. Okay, back to the airport.
Okay.
If it's really late at night when you arrive, which actually is not a bad thing as far as jet lag goes, you're going to want to book an airport transfer. We have made the mistake of trying to navigate Japanese trains, extremely tired and late at night, right as they're about to end their service. It's not fun. We've done it twice.
Yeah, with luggage and kids in tow, it's like, oh my gosh, you've just got to splurge for the transfer and get to your destination and hit the sack.
I would say you can also do taxi. They don't have rideshare in the same way like Uber. It is Uber, but it just uses the taxis. So you're not getting like a special rate. The big thing that makes Uber or their app is called GoTaxi easier is that you don't have to deal with language barrier. So you could put the address in to the app. Okay.
Right.
So if you're going to do taxi, that's a great way to do it. And
so if you're going to do taxi, does the Uber app work, or do you need to download the GoTaxi app, or do they both work interchangeably over there?
They both work. Yeah.
Okay.
Uber works great.
It's just going to be the taxis that are coming to get you.
Yeah. It's just a taxi.
Got it. Okay. So you can do Uber, GoTaxi, or you can use Klook to book ahead of time a transfer that's like waiting for you and you've got like the confirmation and everything for.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So we're here. We've got here. Do you have any tips for adjusting to jet lag? I feel like you guys are obviously full-time professional travelers at this point. So anything that you always do to make sure that you guys get back on track?
I do like arriving either kind of in the early evening around like 6 or 7 or like later, anytime after that, because I kind of want to push through the pain of being tired and then be able to get to your place and just crash out. I think especially with kids, if you're arriving in the morning, it is tricky to kind of push them to try to stay awake for that first day. As an adult, you can kind of push yourself. Kids, especially younger they are, they're going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
You know, the first morning, you're probably going to wake up very early. And so just know that you might wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and be like awake.
Yeah.
When we very first came, our son was 15 months old. And so we were in that stage of like, there's no convincing to stay up, you know. We got in late. We crashed out once we got to our place, and he woke up around 5 in the morning, and my husband took him out for this walk where everybody's just, everything's just waking up. It's just starting the day. And it's like one of the most magical memories that he has from our trips. He just talks about that. And he let me just get a little bit more sleep. And that special time that they had was really special. So just know you're going to get up. You can enjoy the fact that you might see, maybe you don't normally see, sunrise. You get to see it.
Yeah, of course. I love that. So let's walk through your ideal route for a first-time family trip. What cities would you recommend we include in like a 7 to 10 day trip?
The typical first-time trip does what's called the Golden Triangle. And the Golden Triangle is Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a reason this has become such a well-traveled route. It is a really great route. Kyoto and Osaka are very close to each other. So that makes it really easy to you're not wasting a lot of your time in travel time, especially if you're limited to like a 10-day trip or something like that. From there, if you wanted to like do a day trip from one of those places, I think that's a better option than adding in something like Hiroshima, which is much further south, or even further south into Kyushu with Fukuoka, or up north, Hokkaido. If you have a shorter trip like that, I would stick to the Golden Triangle.
Okay, I love this, the Golden Triangle. So let's walk through the Golden Triangle and talk about in each place what you would do, where you would stay. It doesn't have to be a specific hotel, but kind of like an area, or if there are some like well-known super family-friendly hotels, and just kind of like the vibe of the city, what you're seeing, some of the well-known things in each place. So let's start. Let's say we start in Tokyo. Where should we be staying?
I always think of this as a little bit of age groups because now I feel like your kids are really similar age as ours. So, our needs are different than when they were toddlers. We're starting in Tokyo. So if your kids are like toddler age, I would stay near Ueno Park. It's spelled Ueno. It's a huge park. There's a zoo in that area as well. That's a great zoo. When my kids were little, they needed that chance to have freedom of movement. And one of the things that is tricky about a trip to Japan with little kids is there's a lot of like managed time. And I am always trying to seek out a good balance of managed time and freedom of movement time. Because if there's too much managed time, my kids are miserable, I'm miserable, nobody's happy.
Yeah. No, I love that. So smart.
My kids are starting to age out of parks a little. It's like the saddest thing. So they'll still play in parks some, but it's not something they seek out the same way. So if you have more of this kind of preteen, teen age kids, Asakusa is a really great area. I would say that or close to Tokyo Station because it just is going to give you the ease of getting around. One of the things about Tokyo is it's huge. So it's really easy to look at it on the map and be like, oh, that's only, 4 kilometers away or 5 kilometers away. It might not even be that far, but it just takes a while to get anywhere on the train and everything. So you're going to need a little bit of time to like get places. And if you can cut down that time a little bit, it does make things easier.
Because the first place you mentioned, or maybe both places, are they more like of a central location where you can kind of bounce to a lot of different places from them?
Yeah. So Tokyo Station, you can bounce a lot of different places from. Asakusa, you could even just see a lot in that area. It has the really famous temple with the giant lantern. You see a lot of pictures of that area. It's crowded, but it is really special. And it's got Tokyo Skytree is very close, which is one of the large towers you can go up and see a view from. But there's some great shopping and like Pokemon stuff around that area.
My son's obsessed with Pokemon and all the anime and all of it.
Yeah, so there's lots of anime characters. There's a great Ghibli store. There's like just so many different things you can kind of walk around and see in that area. And we love going down the kitchen street in that area where you can like see there's all the fun knife shops and stuff. The kids put up with that, but we get to go and see that stuff too.
When you say Tokyo is huge, is it like New York City on steroids? Is it just buildings and buildings and buildings for miles and miles and miles?
Yes, it's very sprawled, especially once you start getting into more of like the suburb areas or the other areas that are not Tokyo Central. But then it's just also very densely packed. Most people don't realize how big it is and how much you're going to be like going down into subway stations and like all the stairs and whatnot that it just takes to navigate the station, let alone getting to the place and then exploring the place and all of that. Yeah, for sure.
We felt that in New York just when we recently went, just because, it might be, like you said, 2 miles away, but with traffic, if you're going to be in some sort of a cab, that's going to take 30 minutes. You can do the subway, which we did a ton. But then as like someone who's not familiar with it, you're like staring at the stuff. You're like, okay, are we going the right way on the subway? It all just takes more time. So speaking of all that, what are some transportation tips? What like card do we need? What app do we need? If we want to be navigating that properly, tell us what we need to know.
The transit is very straightforward as far as once you've got set up in it. And I would highly recommend getting some sort of transit card. It makes it so much easier. If you're an iPhone user, you can just put the card in from your wallet. It's not a separate app. It's just in the Apple Wallet. And that's what my husband and I both use. If your kid is 12 and younger, I believe it is, might be like 11 and younger, they can get a card that is separate. And it's a kid's rate.
Nice.
It's half off.
That's amazing.
So that stacks up pretty quickly. And it'll help you if you're purchasing your Shinkansen bullet train tickets. It'll just also give you this like validation that, yes, my child is this age. You know, you have it. You have to get that at a manned station. And so you can get it at a subway station or a JR, which is JR is like the Japan wide train, but they're in the cities too. You can get it at any station that's a manned station. And just depending on which one you're getting it from, it'll be a different card, but they're all interchangeable. So you hear people talk a lot about SUICA, SUICA. And those are the ones you get at the JR station. They work great. We got PASMO because we were at a subway station when we got ours. There's no difference. You don't have to worry about it.
So they're all interchangeable. You can use them on different trains, subways.
Yes, all over Japan.
When you said you could put it in your Apple Wallet, that made me think that we could do this ahead of time before we get there and be all situated. But then you said we need to get it at a manned station. So are we doing this before the trip or are we doing this once we've arrived?
So for adults, you could do it before the trip in your Apple Wallet. But the kids, if you want to get that half off card, you got to do it there.
Okay,
and
that's
the
helpful.
reason you have to do it there at a manned station is you're going to give them your kid's passport so they can confirm the age. And your kid's card will have their name on it. So it kind of makes a nice little souvenir too,
Yeah, for sure. That's cute. So, okay, so we've got ours in our Apple Wallet. We go to the train station to get the kids their littles. So then they do need to we need to keep track of that because they're scanning that to get in and out when we're scanning our phone.
Yes.
Okay.
One more thing about scanning. With your kids in particular, make sure you teach them how to scan out every time. It has a sound. You can check the screen to see how much is left on the card. Give them some cue to get to know that get out. If you leave, the gates aren't always closed.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they're very rarely closed, I think, on the subway passes because they can go either way. Sometimes the traffic is so much that they just leave them open.
Are they like those little doors that open and close, open and close?
Yeah, and a lot of times they're just open. So you could walk through and not realize you haven't scanned out. If you haven't scanned out, you have this open ticket and the card will no longer work.
Wow, that would be stressful.
At the station that you didn't scan out of to like get it fixed. So just make sure you taught your kids like what to listen for. The kids card in particular has a very unique sound so that the station master knows that the kid card is being like used.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. That was so helpful.
Before you begin your road trip, ask yourself, do you really need 5 full suitcases? With the new 2026 Kia Sportage X Pro's class-leading cargo space, you'll have room for what you need. Find out more at your local Kia dealer today. Keep the adventure going. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-3334-KIA for details. Always drive safely and obey all traffic laws. Comparisons based on second row legroom and cargo space behind second row seats in the subcompact SUV class according to Kia segmentation as of June 2025.
So we're in Tokyo. We're staying at one of those areas that you recommended based on the ages of our kids. We've got our cards now to use public transportation. You mentioned a few things, but just kind of rattle off. We don't have to go into super detail about what each one is, and we'll talk about Tokyo Disney separately, but just kind of rattle off some things that are like great for people with kids to do. Almost like the things that you don't want to miss if you're all the way there.
Okay, so far we've talked about Ueno Park, that area. There's the zoo there. I think that's such a great area.
Does Ueno Park have like a playground?
Yeah, it's got a few playgrounds. It's a big park.
Cool.
And around Ueno Park, I know it seems weird to want to go to like Little America Street when you're from America, but it is kind of fun to see like there's some American things being sold, but there's actually a lot of great souvenirs around that area that can be kind of reasonable. It's just a fun area to walk around.
I love that. I actually didn't know they had that. And like when I think about how here, when we go to New York or wherever, we're going to Little Italy and we're going to Chinatown. And I never thought that in other places they would have a Little America.
Yeah. It's a fun area to be in. I highly recommend going to do a little bit of karaoke.
Okay.
It's different than it is in the US in the way that you have like a private room that you get to do karaoke with. Usually you pay for a certain amount of time. If you pay for a certain amount of time and it's really cheap and you pay for a drink also, or you pay for a certain amount of time and it's more expensive and you get a free drink. Okay. But usually there's like snacks and stuff. You could get fries, you could get whatever. And the kids get like a soda and everybody, it's just fun. And you get to pick your songs. You just can sing together and not listen to everybody sing.
Yes. Okay. I did that once in New York City, which maybe those were modeled after these karaoke bars where I went with some friends. It was years and years ago. It was probably like when I was in college. And it was so fun. And I've kind of forgotten about that. But like my family would have so much fun. If we took them to a karaoke bar, number one, we probably wouldn't do that because they're typically like actual 21 plus bars. But none of us are going to get up in front of a bunch of strangers. But when you have your own little room and like the safety of your own family, that would be so fun. I could see my kids getting a kick out of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend.
Okay. And are there a lot of them? Are they like all over the place?
They are all over the place.
Okay.
And it's actually a great thing to do to sit down for a little while too.
Yeah.
So if you're like wanting an activity in the middle of your day, if you're in the summer, it's really hot. So that's also inside, which is a bonus.
I love that.
You could even like just leave it as a very open-ended thing of like, we want to do karaoke, but you don't need to like, we're going to do karaoke on this day.
Right.
It's just like this is there for us if we need some time.
Yeah, like a filler or if the weather's bad or too hot or just kind of keep it on your list of like filler items. I love that tip.
Our family at almost every age has really enjoyed Meiji Shrine.
Okay, again, what?
Meiji, it's, I'm not always great at spelling it. It is another big area that is a shrine, and it's beautiful. It's cultural. There are two big shrines that I think people go to often in Tokyo: Meiji Shrine and the one in Asakusa. One of them, Meiji, is a Shinto shrine. Shinto is a religion that's unique to Japan, and there is crossover at the shrines. Sometimes it's hard to tell which one is which.
Okay.
But what people picture often with the shrines in Japan is the big torii gate. It's two big posts with a big cross beam kind of across it.
And are they like gold? I don't know why I'm picturing gold.
A lot of times they're red.
Red. Okay.
Yes. But sometimes the one at Meiji is made up of wood. It's very natural looking.
Okay.
And those are always at a Shinto shrine. And you can go into Meiji. They've got the big sake barrels that are like, have all the different art and calligraphy on them in there. And it's a big kind of shrine complex. It is just
Is it
really
a place
beautiful.
that people would go to worship? back in the day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and still, one time we were there and there happened to be like a ceremony going down and they were all in really special dress. Might have even been a wedding.
Okay.
And so people are definitely going there to pray still.
Okay.
And you'll see there's like a ritual of how they pray. And if you want to explore that and join in, you are welcome to.
Oh, that's
no
nice.
big deal.
Have you learned like what the religion's about? I know that's like a whole separate podcast probably, but
yeah, that is a whole separate. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an expert at it, but I've definitely learned a little bit here and there. And it is a little bit hard it is so different than Western religions or the religions that we're familiar with. I think it is a little more fluid than what we think of. There isn't necessarily like a specific God or anything like that. And I think because of that, it tends to be a little bit more inclusive in that way that it's like, fine, come on, go ahead and participate.
Interesting.
But you want to be respectful and, it's good to like look up a little bit about what's okay and what's not.
Is there any sort of dress issue? I know in some parts of the world you need to cover your shoulders or your knees or that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, not at Japanese shrines.
Okay.
But
great.
yes, we've been to a lot of Buddhist shrines where you need to cover up.
Yeah.
And there could be exceptions to that, but we've never run into that into Japan.
Got it. Okay. Any other must-visit places in Tokyo?
Well, so if you're into pop culture, Japan's pop culture, I mean, Tokyo is such a great place to explore it too. Like I said, there's tons of like Pokemon stuff. If you're into cards, you can definitely go purchase Pokemon cards and all of that. If you're into anime, there's so much merch and everything. Our family is really into One Piece. And
so is my son. That's the one my son is obsessed with. He's probably read up to, I don't know, 20 at this point. And they're written backwards. It's like a manga.
Yes,
is that how you say
the
it?
Manga is
all new to me. I get him. I'm just thankful that he loves to read something. And so he's reading them like backwards and upside down. And I'm like, what is this? But yes, One Piece is what my son loves. So he would just flip over like stores and merch and all the things. That's so cool.
Yeah. So in all over Japan, but definitely in Tokyo, there's shops that are called jump shops. And that's the Big Shonen, which is the company that makes One Piece. And so we love going to jump shops. They all have a stamp you can get at the shop. So that's fun to kind of collect at the different shops. And there's the Mugiwara stores. And that's like, Mugiwara means like straw hat, those ones are just One Piece specific. And so you can look for those. For any of our One Piece.
You can get a hat.
You can get a hat if you want. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Fun. Shirts. And I mean, you name it. The other thing that's really popular to go to are the teamLab museums. And there are two in Tokyo. There's Planets and Borderless. And we've been to Planets and really enjoyed it. It's very interactive. It's lots of light. In one of the rooms, there's these big balls where they kind of like bounce around and change lights.
Is it like an art installation feeling place with all these different interactive rooms?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
And each one is like different light and sometimes video kind of on the walls. Planets does have a couple things where you're in water. So that is something that is important to know.
What do you mean? Like physically you're in the water?
As you enter, there's like water that's just very shallow that you're kind of walking in. The whole museum you do barefoot, which is very Japanese.
Okay, cool.
You're going to take your shoes off a lot inside in Japan. And so you kind of walk through the shallow running water. There is another room, and I have to be totally honest, I couldn't do this room because I can't take my prosthetic leg in water, like submerged like that.
Okay.
So, but my family went. And it's like kind of knee high and you're walking through this water and it's all projected on top of the water. So there's like these projected koi moving around, the like carp fish and stuff. Super cool. People love it.
But if you're going to go, you kind of need to know, like maybe wear shorts or be able to pull
or
your
you can
pants
hike up your pants. Yes.
Okay. Good to
So
know.
just good to know for that one. Super kid friendly, like kids loved it. There was one room in Planets where they're like bouncing around and it's all like bubbles and you're kind of trampoline-y, but like,
Wow.
yeah. So lots of like, again, they're going to be able to move kind of that big gross motor movement, which I always am like, when we're traveling, there's a lot of like, sit here, be still, like wait here, wait, hurry, wait, hurry, wait, hurry.
Yeah.
This is like your chance to do something where it's like just easy and the kids really love it.
And then is the borderless one different or same idea, just some different installations?
Same idea, different installations. So, again, a lot of light, a lot of interactive quality. A lot of people love borderless as well.
Okay, so just kind of look them up and make a decision based on location.
Prioritize based on location, or like if there's just one particular thing you're like, I really want to see this, because you can definitely find pictures and videos of kind of what a lot of the installments look like. But even though you've seen it online, I highly recommend going. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Love it.
That gives you plenty to do.
Okay. Yes, I think.
But what's so great about Tokyo is you can really cater it to your family's interests. I'm going to give one little tip for food as well.
I would love food tips.
And this would be like all over Japan. It doesn't really matter where you are. For a family, first of all, do not be afraid of going to the konbini, or the convenience stores, to check out the food there. It's so easy. It's like not your junk food that you're used to getting at a convenience store here. There's a whole section usually that's kind of like fresh prepared food, and they'll heat it up for you there if it's something to heat up. Some of them have a little spot where you can even eat there. It is a little trickier if you're on the go, but there's lots of on the go food too.
Yeah, that's so interesting you say that. This is not connected to Japan at all, but we had friends from Australia come and visit, and they were driving, from the airport to our house. And they said, it's so funny. We were trying to stop for like a quick snack or a bite to eat on the way, and none of your gas stations or convenience stores have like freshly rolled sushi. And I was like, they sure don't. But yeah. He said that their gas stations and convenience stores have fresh food. And I was like, well, that would be lovely. But we have about, all the junk food, the chips, and some hot dogs maybe. But
yeah.
Japan's similar, where there's fresh options and great choices if you just pop into one.
I would say Japan is the OG place.
Good to know.
That has had fresh food. We've used convenience stores almost more like a mini grocery store in some ways, depending on where we're staying.
Yeah.
You can even get some fruit. You can get eggs. You can get all sorts of stuff.
What are some of your family's go-tos? Like, what are you like, oh my gosh, we always grab these few things?
Depends on a little bit on which one you're at. There's three main ones. There's 7-Eleven, which we're all familiar with.
Yes.
There's Family Mart, and there's Lawson's.
It's so funny. They're like American names.
Well, it makes it super easy. Yeah. There's a lot of English in Japan. You'd be surprised, actually. If you're at a Family Mart, you have to try what's called a Fammy Chiki.
Fammy
chicken.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a chicken. It's not this. I would say this is not the healthiest choice, but it's still really great. It's just a chicken, like a breaded chicken kind of patty that you can eat, like a giant chicken nugget kind of.
Okay.
But they're so good. They're really, really good. And they're juicy. They're hot, especially if you want something kind of hot and quick.
Yeah.
They just hit the spot. My teenage son is in a Fammy Chiki stage right now.
I love it.
He would go and get a daily Fammy Chiki if we would let him. The steamed buns, it's like a steamed white bun, and it usually has some almost like a meatball inside.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really good.
That sounds amazing.
They're called bao.
Yes.
And they're delicious and easy. That's on the go food for sure. you can still get like a corn dog or like hash browns or something like that in the hot case too. I don't want to paint it like it's all healthy food. Like you can get those things. And if you've got a picky eater and that's like what they're going to eat, like it's available, just so you know.
Awesome.
The big thing that we tend to get to go is not in the hot case, is in the refrigerated section. And there's rolled sushi like you're talking about, of course, or lots of different kind of sushi types. But it's near that. It's called an onigiri. And it's a triangle rice ball. And it has, it's usually wrapped in nori, seaweed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a rice ball and they've got different fillings. My kids really love like the tuna mayo or the shrimp mayo. I love the sour plum ones. It's like a salty sour plum. If you like sour flavors, it's very sour. I also love the ones with the egg yolk inside them. It's like egg yolk and soy sauce. So it's like salty, and Japanese do eggs really, really well. Like soft-boiled eggs, if you like soft-boiled eggs. I don't know what their magic is. They're just so good here.
Awesome.
And then the other like on-the-go food is they've got a lot of sandwiches, and those seem really ordinary, but they're kind of fun Japanese takes on a sandwich. Their egg salad sandwich is very good, but they also have what's called a katsu sandwich, which is like their kind of fried pork cutlet that's in a sandwich sometimes with like lettuce or something like that. And that's just tasty. It's good on the go. It's a great, easy thing to grab.
Awesome. Thank you for all those tips. Would you recommend for like a family like mine, if we're going over there and doing a lot of the things that you've recommended and using public transportation, making any dinner reservations? Or is this a grab stuff when you can? Are there any places where it's like, oh my gosh, you definitely want to like make a reservation here because it's like culturally fun? Or are you just grabbing stuff depending on where you end up?
We tend to just grab stuff because we like to kind of munch as we go and get lots of different things as we're kind of like walking around and exploring, get different sweet treats. Japanese bakeries are amazing.
What kind of stuff do they have in Japanese bakeries that like we don't have over here?
So a lot of times they're just slightly different flavor profiles. One of the things that's really different for Americans is they use red bean a lot in their sweets, which seems weird. Like sweet beans, it takes a little bit to like get a taste for it. But now I've had enough. I'm like, I love it. But it literally is like a sweetened bean paste.
Okay.
And but it is delicious and worth trying. If you don't like it, definitely try it. It's very Japanese.
Okay.
Sometimes depending on the season, like if you happen to be here for cherry blossom season, the sakura, then you're going to see a lot of cherry and strawberry flavored things at that time.
And what time of the year is that again?
That's going to be like April, mostly April.
Okay, so like a lot of people's spring break over here.
Yeah. Sometimes if you're in late March, it'll be just depending on where you are.
And what city is that? Is that all the cities or one specific city?
All of Japan.
Okay, all of Japan. Cool.
Yeah. And they actually put out a cherry blossom forecast so that like, depending on that year, when they think is going to be peak season in different regions.
God, have you been there for that?
We have been here twice for cherry blossom season. It's a very special time.
Very cool.
It is more crowded.
I was going to say.
Everybody's out.
Yeah.
So we were here for the first cherry blossom season after COVID, and it was like huge because not only were there tons of, like they'd opened up the borders or all these people visiting, they were so excited about visiting, but it was the first cherry blossom season that Japanese got to celebrate as well and be out and about and doing, because everybody was just really locked up, from COVID. And so it was very celebratory, very crowded, but it was special.
Super cool.
You've finally broken loose from work. 3 friends, 1 tea time, and then the text. Honey, there's water in the basement. not exactly how you pictured your Saturday. That's when you call us, Cincinnati Insurance. We always answer the call because real protection means showing up, even when things are in the rough. Cincinnati Insurance. Let us make your bad day better. Find an agent at CINFIN.com.
Let's move on to Tokyo Disney.
Yes.
Is DisneySea in Tokyo as well, or is that somewhere else?
Yes.
Okay, so there's
It's
two
in
theme
Tokyo.
parks in the Tokyo area that are Disney theme parks.
Yes. It's kind of like, Disneyland and California Adventure. They're right next to each other, basically.
Right. Oh, these two are right next to each other.
Yeah.
It's like you could go to both in one day.
You could. They don't have a park hopper available at this point like they do in the US.
Okay. So
have to
how
buy
far away
separate
is it
tickets.
from, like, if we were staying in one of the areas you recommended, how far away is Tokyo Disney?
Yeah, it's probably about an hour away, I think. So it's not super close. If you're doing Tokyo Disney and you're doing, I recommend just going and staying near the property. And there's lots of options, obviously, to stay in Disney hotels, which has been the only time we've stayed in a Disney hotel because it was reasonable. Or we've stayed at the partner hotels as well, and they're lovely, and it's so easy to get to the parks from the partner hotels as well.
Okay. So obviously on this podcast, we talk a lot about Disney, a lot about Universal. We've done Disney Paris. We talk a lot about these parks. So what is different about Tokyo Disney and DisneySea that is like notable, interesting, that would be like worth making the trip?
If you've talked about Paris, then when you go to a park in another country, it's not in English.
Yes, we learned that on that podcast.
Everything
yes.
is in Japanese.
Which is kind of fun.
I love it, but I'm also familiar with Disney World and Disneyland. So seeing C-3PO talk in Japanese is fun for me.
Yeah,
but if
totally.
I was expecting it the other way, that would maybe be hard. So just be aware, if you're going to these parks, everything is in Japanese. Every once in a while, there would be something in English, and it would be kind of a fun surprise. The big thing that is different is definitely DisneySea. So if you were prioritizing, that's the park to go to.
Okay.
If you want to have a new and different experience, it is the only park it is the only one like this. DisneySea is completely unique. And it is based on, instead of lands, it's based on ports.
Like, because it's the sea, SEA, like seaports? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So it has a giant volcano in the middle of the park, and the volcano does spew fire a couple times a day. The inside of a volcano is one of our favorite areas, and it's got the 1,000 Leagues or 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Journey to the Center of the Earth rides, which are
in the volcano.
It's old Disney movies, so those are really unique rides, and it's got really fun food and merch. And the food is definitely one of the things that's very different about both Tokyo Disney and DisneySea. It's unique because it's Japanese styled food. And so, how people say, oh, sushi in the US is not really like Japanese sushi, it's, Americanified. Yeah. Well, the Japanese do that to American food too. It's Japanified. It's every place kind of puts their take on different cultures' foods. That's to the taste and to include the ingredients and all of that particular place. So you can get American food, but it's a little different. It's
a little funny.
Yeah. So don't expect your hamburger to be exactly like a hamburger in the US, but that's part of the fun for us.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing to know is the Japanese take the parades very seriously.
I feel like we take them seriously. So how do they take them even more seriously?
People will sit and, all right, first of all, sitting is a really normal thing for the parades so that you're not trying to see over everybody.
Okay.
And people will stake out their sitting spot hours and hours and hours before.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Like the parade trumps going on rides and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. One of the things that's different about Tokyo Disney is that rope dropping isn't necessarily going to like gain you a ton of crowd-free time.
Why?
Everybody gets up early to get there.
Everybody's rope dropping. It's not even a thing. It's just
it's
everyone's
like,
there.
Everyone's there. Part of that is the parks are not open as late. So it's a smaller like window of time. They all close depending on the time of year. It's like 8 or 9 is when the parks close. And that has to do with the trains. The trains shut down at midnight. All of the cast and everybody needs to be able to get home on the train. It needs to shut down in time so that the cast can do all of the shutting down and whatnot and get home.
Got it.
So they just are not open as late. And I think because of that, everybody comes early.
Are there any like can't miss rides that are just unique to these parks?
There's a Peter Pan section, and it's a different Peter Pan ride than like the one we're all familiar with. That one we haven't been on. Actually, there's 2 Peter Pan rides. There's a Tinkerbell ride as well.
So lots of fantasy land type theming.
The other areas are a Frozen area, and they have Elsa's castle.
Oh, I think I saw that on Instagram. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And there's a Rapunzel Tangled area.
Cute.
And we went on the Rapunzel Tangled ride.
Is that a boat and they have the lanterns?
Yes.
I also saw that on Instagram. Yes, it is. Very, I was actually just thinking as you were talking, like if we did this trip, I probably wouldn't haul my crew to Disney because I would just want to like be in the Japan culture. But now I'm like, oh wait, but those rides do look really cool on Instagram.
It is, I would say DisneySea, like I said, DisneySea is really unique. If you're prioritizing, DisneySea is the way to go.
Okay.
It's the only other park that has another Indiana Jones ride. It does have a ride that's kind of like the Incredicoaster because it does a loop, but it's a little shorter ride than the Incredicoaster is.
Okay.
Called Raging Spirits. I don't know, that one, there's some rides in DisneySea that aren't like as, like, oh, it's tied to this movie. It's just kind of
a
ride in an adventure area, kind of, The merch is very unique. It's different than what you would get in the US, but also they're very into Duffy and Friends, which is a thing that I really was not familiar with before coming to the Disney parks.
I've recently learned about Duffy. I think on my Alani episode, Duffy, the character, shows up at Alani in Hawaii. So I was like, what's Duffy? And my guest explained it's Mickey's teddy bear, which I think is the cutest thing in the whole world. Cute. And he did mention that Duffy's very popular in Asia.
Yes, not just in Japan, but in the Shanghai and Hong Kong. They are very big too. But there's like a whole section of DisneySea that has lots of Duffy stuff. So if you're interested in that, that's also a great thing to go get there.
Cute. Love it. Okay. I feel like we need to move on to our next city or we're going to end up having like a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, that's how Tokyo is.
This is like giving us the vibes of what it would be like to actually be in Japan.
Yeah. So much to pick from.
Yeah, so much to do. Well, you gave us tons of great tips in Tokyo. Love it. So if we are following the Golden Triangle route, we are headed to Kyoto next?
Yeah, you could do either Osaka or Kyoto next.
Okay. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Kyoto.
Okay. So how far away is this? Are we training? Are we flying? How far is this?
The easiest way by far is to take that Shinkansen bullet train.
Okay, bullet train.
Yeah, it's a high-speed train, and you just take it straight to Kyoto. Easy peasy. So you get that from probably Tokyo Station. There's not all the stations are access the bullet train line.
Okay.
So there's a couple different options in Tokyo, though. So you just got to look up which one's going to be the most convenient for you.
Okay. So we're taking the bullet train to Kyoto. How is Kyoto different than Tokyo? Because I'm not familiar.
So Kyoto is the old capital, and there's just a lot of history. You get that sense of older Japan in Kyoto. So you might see geisha with their kimono and the makeup and all of that in Kyoto. It's a great place if you do want to rent a kimono and do photos to do that in, because the environment is just so fun to like take photos in. There's some wonderful streets where you can kind of get that sense of older Japan. Gion, it's Gion. That area is just a great spot to just have a wander, different little shops and whatnot. Kyoto can be very crowded because it's a little bit smaller city. It draws a lot of people. It's really the place you're going to go to see some really unique temples. A lot of people love going to the bamboo forest there.
Is that an actual bamboo forest?
Yes.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so that's a really unique kind of walk through all of this bamboo grove. Really beautiful. Again, a little with kids, since you're walking in this natural space, it's still a path. So you're not like just wandering everywhere. But
okay. Is it free or do you pay to go
open.
into it?
I believe it's free.
Okay, cool.
A lot of things in Japan are just free or very cheap to go. A couple dollars, to
Nice.
go into. So even Tokyo Disney is really cheap.
Oh, that's really encouraging to hear.
That's actually maybe a big plus when tickets are $60 or $70 each.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, maybe we would go there. Awesome. Of course, we would visit some of the historical spots with kids, but sometimes kids can get a little, okay, I've seen one temple, I've seen a mall type vibe. So is there anything else outside of the historical temples and things that we should be putting on our list for traveling there with kids?
If you just want to kind of preserve your temple time with your kids, because I totally get my kids, definitely. I mean, they've seen a lot of temples in our travels. So whenever we're like, we're going to this new temple, they're like, it's definitely, they would rather go to the anime merch shop for sure. If you want to kind of strategically do it, Kyoto is the place to do your temples. For Kyoto, I would highly recommend, this is the place to like pay to do like a half day private tour and have somebody take you around to different places.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one, because there's so many different places to go. Then you just don't have to navigate all of the different ways to get around. And like, this is the place I think it would be worth the money to like go and do the tour.
Great point.
With something. Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm totally making this up in my head, but are there like sit down dinner and a show type places with the geisha type ladies, or is that not really a thing?
That's not really a thing.
Okay.
You could definitely do a tea ceremony.
A tea ceremony. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you're like looking at tours and you want to do something like that, it's less like of a show than it is kind of teaching a little bit about the tradition of tea, but also like doing some games that like geisha do. There's often this one where they're kind of like patting and touching a box or a cup, and it gets faster and faster and harder as they go.
Interesting.
So some of those kinds of things you do maybe in a tea ceremony type tour, and that would be what you kind of. This is a great place to do it. Great place to rent kimono, great place to do tea ceremony. The other thing is we haven't really touched on hotels yet. And my one thing I would advise is to try out for one of your stays, a ryokan. And a ryokan is a traditional Japanese inn.
Okay. And I'm like scared. I don't know why.
That is where you get the futon on the floor with a tatami mat.
Okay.
And you might get a traditional Japanese breakfast in the morning and all of that. Can
they sleep families?
Yes, I would say ryokan are actually super family friendly because the bedding is these futons, like it's so flexible. And obviously they have a limit to how many they have, but during the day you fold up your futons and you put them to the side, and often there's like a little floor table you can sit at and stuff like that too, so that the room is a little bit more versatile.
What is a traditional Japanese breakfast?
A traditional Japanese breakfast is often lots of little dishes. It varies depending on what place you're at and probably season too. There's always going to be rice and there's always going to be miso soup.
Two of my favorite things.
Yeah. A lot of times there's some fish, there's some sort of like vegetable or seaweed salad. But what's kind of fun about it is that they're all like little bits. So if you don't like something, you just don't have that bit, and it's not like a whole thing. It's like having lots of things to try. And the idea is that you kind of take a little bite of this and then you kind of use the rice as like a palate cleanser, or you mix a little bit with your rice and you have that and you're trying all these different things so that every bite is like a little bit of a unique experience.
Cool. I love that. I would be all about that. I also love regular food at any time of day, so I'd be totally down with like seaweed salad in the morning.
Yeah. To us, as Westerners, as Americans, I think it doesn't seem like, well, why would that be breakfast? It definitely tends to be more on the savory side.
Okay.
Although, if you want to have a more Western American breakfast, I highly recommend doing Japanese souffle pancakes at some point. They're really fun and delicious.
That does sound delicious. So it almost seems like when we talked about Tokyo, we would need a bulk of our time there, like maybe 3 or 4 nights. And then it seems like Kyoto would be a shorter stay, like maybe 1 or 2 nights.
Yes, Kyoto can definitely be a shorter stay.
Okay.
You've finally broken loose from work. 3 friends, 1 tea time, and then the text. Honey, there's water in the basement. Not exactly how you pictured your Saturday. That's when you call us, Cincinnati Insurance. We always answer the call because real protection means showing up, even when things are in the rough. Cincinnati Insurance. Let us make your bad day better. Find an agent at CINFIN.com.
To finish off our Golden Triangle, we're going to head to Osaka. So are we getting back on the bullet train?
You can just take an ordinary train. It's not very far from Kyoto to Osaka. It's about 30 minutes.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, I think there's a few different options, but you just jump on the train like you would moving around cities as well.
Okay, so Tokyo is massive, big. There's so much going on. It's sprawling, busy. Kyoto is rich in history and culture. And we can do like some more traditional experiences and tours there. What is Osaka known for?
So Osaka is known as the kitchen of Japan.
Ooh.
Yes, it's definitely a great place to experience some different foods and dishes. A few dishes originated in Osaka that are now you can kind of get anywhere, but it's really fun to get them in Osaka.
Okay, tell us about those.
One is called Takoyaki, and they are like these round, kind of doughy pancakes. It's hard to know what to equate them to.
Have you had an able skeever from like
They are like
Denmark?
able skeevers. Okay, yes.
I'm Danish and we make able skeevers, like my family, every holiday because the recipe's been passed down and we love them, but most people have never had them. But it's like a round pancake ball with like, you fill it with things. So
I was going to say able skeever, but yeah, again, I was like, I don't know if most people are going to know that. It's round. This is more doughy. I would say it ends up more doughy than an able skeever. And but they have a small piece of octopus in them. Taco means octopus in Japanese. So it's like this they put also sauces and like sprinkled nori dust kind of on it, as well as bonito flakes, which bonito flakes are like a smoked fish flake.
Okay.
So they are scaldingly hot when you first get them.
Good to know.
Beware. And it takes them, because they're doughy, they retain heat for a while. But they're delicious. I would say the octopus is very small in them, so it's not like you're sitting there chewing on the octopus forever. They're definitely worth a try. And they're a favorite kind of street food, really. They're like definitely more street food. We've also gone to a few baseball games in Osaka, which is a really fun thing to do if you happen to be here during baseball season, because it's such like an American thing, but it's very uniquely Japanese also.
I wouldn't have thought that was a popular thing to do there.
Well, I don't know if it's like a typical tourist thing, but we love doing it.
Yeah, cool. What's the other food? What's the other food?
Yeah, the other food. Yeah. I almost got distracted by baseball. So anyway, you can get takoyaki at baseball.
Yeah.
The other food is called okonomiyaki, which translates to like as you like it or as you want it, kind of. And it's called that because you can custom do it your way. And some people call it Japanese pizza, although I don't feel like it's like pizza at all. It's a cabbage fritter, kind of. It's about the size of like a personal pizza, but it's cabbage and a dough, kind of the same dough, I think, that the takoyaki is made out of, but it's flat. They put a lot of the similar sauces on it as you do with the takoyaki, but a lot of times it has seafood in it, or you can get it with pork in it, or whatever, because it's as you like it. You get to do it as you like it. It's a fun thing to do because at the restaurants, you usually cook it yourself on a little plate that's at your table. So they will help show you how, and you flip it, and then you cut it up and eat it. They're delicious. It's really, again, customizable. So if you have one person who likes that this way or that way, you can easily modify it for everybody's tastes.
Cool. In addition to those two traditional foods, is Osaka known for being like a foodie spot in Japan? And are there other food areas and restaurants is this kind of like a hub for foodies?
Yes, I would say Osaka is I think this is why we like it so much, is because we just love to travel for food. So the Dotonbori area, which is along the river, is a great area to kind of do more of your like street foods, try a lot of different things. It is very touristy. There's a lot of people, so expect some crowds. Although we've been there, and sometimes, I don't know, in the middle of the day, middle of the week, it's not that big a deal. I've been there on the weekend recently, and I was like, "Ooh, this is packed."
Yeah.
I didn't even really realize I was getting into Dotonbori area because we weren't there for that. I was there for something else, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in Dotonbori, and yes, it is packed." You probably have seen Dotonbori. It's one of the most like photo spots in Osaka. There's the Gleika running man. He's got his arms up, and everybody takes the picture, in the running man pose. There's a big sign kind of that has him. There's a giant crab and a giant dragon that's like a shop sign. They're like 3D off the sides of the signs. Those are really photogenic, fun, and obviously like they have food in those areas too. And then there's like the big oval Ferris wheel that's around the Don Quixote, which sounds like a funny name for a store, but that's like an everything store.
Okay.
You can get all sorts of weird stuff there. Just anything you need, you can get at Donkey. But they have this interesting Ferris wheel that's like oval and long.
Have you been on it?
No, I have not been on it. That's still on my list. I'm like, I don't know if you would get very much of a view from it or anything, though. Maybe of the river. You could get a river. And you could do a river. As a sit down kind of thing. They're short. I don't think they last particularly long, but you can do a river boat kind of tour and
Cool.
see the area from the river as well.
Awesome. So we've got food, lots of food. We've got these cool picture spots. We've got baseball. We've got the river, the Ferris wheel. Is there anything else that's like a can't miss if my family's headed to Osaka?
Yeah. So if you want a temple, and I can't help but, point out a couple. If you want a temple in Osaka, we love the Sumiyoshi temple. And that area is just a little bit quieter. It's not touristy at all. It's just not an area that people go as tourists that much. And there's an excellent park that's near Sumiyoshi also. So if you're interested in a park, it's a beautiful park. It's just lovely to walk around, especially in the spring, cherry blossom time, or in the fall. Fall is also a great time. The leaf colors and everything is a wonderful time to be in Japan. The station area that we love to kind of be around and explore, as far as just like train stations are such a hub for everything. So if you want to just like head towards a train station and walk around that area, you're going to find lots of things to eat, lots of places to go. Namba is a wonderful area to just kind of explore. There are these famous cheesecakes you can get in Namba, Rikoro cheesecakes.
Yum.
And they're really different than the cheesecakes that we are used to. They're a little more eggy, a little more souffle-ish, but they are really fun. And you can see them making them there, and that's always kind of fun, especially with kids, I think.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Namba area is really great to just kind of explore. And then we haven't done it yet, but Universal Studios is also in Osaka area. So if you're interested in doing Universal Studios Japan, it was a huge draw for a while because it was the one that had Super Mario.
Was it the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
So now that is also in Florida. It's maybe not as much of a draw, but they did just add in all the Donkey Kong stuff. And they often have anime specials at Universal Studios. So if you have, like One Piece, in the summer, they often have stuff around One Piece. We've been tempted to go because of that.
Yeah, fun. Maybe we will too. I'll let you know when we're going to do it and we can meet you there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You kind of mentioned this before about how there's surprisingly a lot of English and it's pretty easy to navigate. Would you say there is much of a language barrier? Like, is there anything that people should be prepared for, any app that they need to use, or will they be pretty fine speaking English?
There is a lot of English around, just reading wise. Most people do not speak English, though. And even if they do have some English, they tend to be a little bit more shy about wanting to speak it. They'll say, "Oh, I don't know any English." And then later you find out, like, they start talking to you a little bit in English, and you're like, "Actually, you know a lot of English."
Yeah, funny.
But we always manage to get by with some translation app. It's doable, and having Google Translate makes a huge difference. A lot of places will have like an English menu or something like that too, so it's pretty easy. But if they don't, translating the menu is no big deal with the Google Translate.
Okay, good to know. And so then when we finish up our time in Osaka, do you recommend, like, how far are we? Are we going to a different airport to get home, or are we headed back to one of the same airports that we flew into?
I think most people do their round trip, that's usually what we've done, is we always fly in and out of the same airport.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is you're going to head back to Tokyo, but I would just stay head back to Tokyo your last day or whatever, and you just stay right at the airport, essentially, so that you don't have to go into Tokyo proper and then come all the way back out to the airport.
I like the idea of staying like near the airport and just like, if there were any hiccups, just get there, one more sleep, and then get up ready to travel.
That would be my style as well. I tend to like to have a little more breathing room, but
yes,
then feel like transit.
Yes.
But yeah, if you wanted to, if your flight was like at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. or later, like something like that, it would totally be doable to do the bullet train in. Just give yourself plenty of time.
Like how long would it take on the bullet train from Osaka to Tokyo?
I want to say 2 hours, but for some reason that feels really long. I think it is 2 hours.
Okay. But that's still, that's great.
Yeah, it's not super far. And there's so many trains that go, like you're not going to have a hard time getting one.
Awesome.
I have one more food tip.
Okay.
There are an extraordinary number of restaurants in Japan. Like you're going to find restaurants everywhere. We actually looked it up recently. And in Tokyo, there was like 400,000 restaurants or something like that. It was an insane amount. And we looked up New York as like a comparable, and it was like 70,000 restaurants. So it's like such a huge difference. There's so many places to eat, which is lovely. We love that. Maybe this is probably part of why we love Japan so much. A lot of those restaurants are little tiny restaurants with like just a few seats. You're kind of expected to go in, eat, and get out, right? So that other people have a chance to eat. I would say most of those restaurants are not super family friendly. It's just really hard when you're not a solo person or a couple or something to go into those restaurants. You're basically taking up the entire restaurant.
Right.
So the easiest way for families to find places really is to kind of stick to the chains. And that sounds really like boring, but they're Japanese chains. So no matter what, for you, they're like unique and new and different. And they are really good too. So there's lots of chains for like Japanese curry, which is like a family staple. Like this is what kids in Japan grow up eating. It's not spicy. It's just like good soul food, kind of stew, almost like. And then, or like beef bowls, which is like a beef usually on top. And can be various other add-ons, and rice. It's really simple, easy. It often comes with miso soup as well. And then there are lots of chain kind of sushi restaurants. And there's such a great way to try different flavors. And even if your kid doesn't really like sushi or hasn't really been introduced to sushi yet, it's such an easy way to like introduce all of that. At the very least, like they could get egg and rice, their tamago, it's just egg on top of rice. Or all these restaurants have still like French fries or other options. But there are some things that just lead in naturally for somebody who hasn't had something like that. So like maybe a tempura shrimp, that's like a fried shrimp, right? So that's something a child might be more open to trying versus like raw tuna. Yeah. And you're going to find like the whole gambit at some of those. Our favorite chain sushi place is called Kura. And it is so fun. They even have like corn chowder sushi. So there's just there's nothing sacred about this sushi.
How do you spell the restaurant name?
Kura is Kura.
Okay, cool.
And you'll find them all over Japan. And every time there's a slot you put your plates in once you're done. You put your plates in, and every time you get 5 plates, a little video comes up. And on the video, your little people, they may win or they may lose. Most of the time they lose. But every once in a while, they win. And then a little toy comes down from the top. Yeah.
That's so
fun. And the kids love it. They love it. Usually we have to get to like 20 plates. That's the secret. 20 plates.
And is a plate like a sushi roll, one sushi bite? What are the
Usually
plates?
It's 2 pieces of sushi.
Okay. I like that though, because then you don't have to commit to like the 8 pieces or whatever. You can try a lot of different things.
Exactly. And each plate costs like $1 something.
Oh my gosh,
It's very
amazing.
reasonable.
Yeah.
So sometimes we've gone to sushi and we've just stuffed ourselves full and we've paid like 30 to 40 bucks for the four of
Wow.
us. It's very reasonable. So
Amazing.
it's a great way to like try out some of those flavors. And, no big deal. If they don't like it, you just go to the convenience store down the
Yeah.
road. They're
Get a
all
chicken
over the place.
Sammy or whatever it is.
Yes. I've had to untrain myself to like not carry snacks everywhere because I'm like, we don't need to. Why am I making this harder? There's food everywhere. But when we're in the US, then I have to retrain myself. Carry snacks everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
Japan
Amazing.
is really, really special. It's so family friendly for any age. I think the Japanese people love kids. It's very easy to find a way to make a unique and special trip to create some really amazing memories with your kids.
I love that. I love that. This has been so helpful. Like, you have no idea. Sometimes it's hard to wrap your brain around a place you haven't been before. And it's very intimidating to try to like start even thinking, could I go there? Should we go there? How would we even do this? And I feel like this conversation is going to help a lot of people say, we can do this. And here's our starting points. And now we have all this information. We know where we need to go get our sushi and get our potential win a toy. This
Yeah.
has seriously been amazing. You've made it feel so doable. I'm going to end this episode the way I end every episode, which is, if someone out there is considering this trip, what is it about Japan that would make you say, just book it?
For us, travel is about connection and the time that we get to spend together. I think for most families, that's what we're all seeking. We want to give our kids something special to look back at, to remember as something they did in their childhood. And Japan is a trip, I think, that does that. There will be hard moments. It's not going to be completely, your feet are going to be throbbing at the end of the day. And there will be times where you get on the wrong train. It just is part of coming here. But those are also part of the fun memories too. And when you look back at them in the moment, it might not be quite as much. And I can just guarantee that a trip to Japan is something your kids will look back at and treasure.
That was so beautiful. I think that was the best ending we've ever had. I love it. Remind people where they can find you online, because you have been such a wealth of information. People might want to look you up and get some more information.
Yes, we're always building our information on our blog about Japan. We have quite a few things about Tokyo Disney, especially around mobility difference, which we didn't get to get into at all. And that's maybe a whole other episode.
Yes.
And we also have itineraries, samples. A lot of the stuff we talked about, especially with Tokyo, is on the blog now. So if you are interested in anything around Japan, you can find it there.
Remind them where it is.
Oh, learnersandmakers.com.
Perfect.
And if you're more of a visual person, you want to see it, we also have a YouTube channel. So you can kind of see more of what it might look like to experience Japan with your family. And that is also Learners and Makers at YouTube.
Perfect. And I just have to ask, do you know where you're headed to next?
Yes, we do. So we are in Japan for another almost 2 more months. And then we head to Malaysia next. And we've been to Malaysia a little bit, but we just haven't felt like we've gotten enough of it yet. Like we've really experienced it the way we wanted to. So I think we'll be in Kuala Lumpur. And then actually after that, we head back to the US. We have some exciting places we're going to be exploring in the US and seeing family and friends there.
Awesome. I love your life. I'm going to be following along and just seeing all the adventures that you guys get into. And thank you again so much for all this information about Japan. I absolutely loved chatting with you.
Yeah, it was so great. Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful time. I love talking about Japan.
That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales.
What does possibility mean to you?
That's a hard question.
Something that you can strive for.
That I'm able to do anything I set my mind to.
You're confident in yourself and you believe in yourself. Stuff that you could achieve.
I feel excited. Anything is possible when you're more confident.
Shoes are a huge part of that. They are the most important part of my style.
You can express yourself.
In the right shoes, anything is possible.
DSW, countless shoes at brag-worthy prices. Imagine the possibilities.